The asteroid field screamed past the viewport as Marcus Chen yanked the freighter's controls hard left. Debris hammered the hull. Warning lights blazed red across every console. He'd been hauling mining equipment for 3 months through the frontier sectors when the distress beacon cut through the static, automated, desperate, already fading. He shouldn't have answered it. The emergency pod tumbled end over end through the rocks, its stabilizers dead, hull breached in 2 places. Marcus locked the tractor beam and dragged it into his cargo bay, already running calculations he couldn't afford. Fuel. Time. Questions he didn't need. The pod's hatch hissed open before he reached it. Inside, pressed against the far wall, was a child, not human. 4 arms, skin that shifted between deep blue and silver. Eyes too large, too dark, reflecting the cargo bay lights like pools of oil. Maybe 7 years old, if age translated across species at all. She wore shredded fabric that might have been formal once. Expensive. Her breathing came fast and shallow. "Hey," Marcus said, keeping his voice level. "You're safe now." She stared at him. Didn't move. He checked the pod's emergency log. The data was corrupted, radiation fried. No passenger manifest. No origin point. Just coordinates that matched empty Space 3 systems back. "Can you understand me?" Marcus tried again. His translator implant usually caught most common languages, but she stayed silent. Then she moved. Not toward him, toward the emergency rations mounted on the wall. She grabbed a water pack with 2 hands and tore it open with precision that didn't match the terror in her eyes. The other 2 hands stayed perfectly still at her sides, fingers positioned in a way that looked practiced, formal. Marcus recognized discipline when he saw it. This kid had training. "Where's your family?" he asked. Her head tilted. The translator finally engaged with a soft click in his ear. "Gone," she said. 1 word. Flat. Marcus felt ice settle in his gut. He'd found survivors before in the frontier zones. Pirates didn't leave witnesses, neither did corporate raid teams. But a kid in a luxury pod, alone in an asteroid field, with corrupted logs, that was something else.
"I'm Marcus," he said. "I'll get you somewhere safe."
No. The word came sharp. Her 4 hands moved together now, 2 covering her torso, 2 spreading in what his translator tagged as a warding gesture. Not safe. Nowhere. They'll kill me. No hesitation. No childish exaggeration. Just fact. Looked at her posture, the way she'd positioned herself with clear sightlines to both exits, the precision of her movements. The kind of calm that came from training or trauma or both. "Who's looking for you?" he asked. She met his eyes. "Everyone." The scanner alert cut through the cargo bay. Marcus's blood went cold. 3 ships, dropping out of FTL at the edge of sensor range, military configuration, moving in pattern formation, search grid tightening. He ran for the cockpit. The child followed, silent as smoke. The ships were Vethani. He recognized the blade-like hulls, the propulsion signatures, the same species as the girl. 1 heavy cruiser, 2 destroyers, enough firepower to glass a small moon. They were scanning every object in the asteroid field methodically, professionally. Marcus pulled up his credentials: civilian contractor, licensed hauler, clean record. It wouldn't matter if they wanted the kid badly enough. He'd seen Vethani law enforcement operate before. They didn't ask permission. "How important are you?" he asked, without looking back. Silence. Then, so quiet he almost missed it. Very. Heading straight for them. Marcus had maybe 2 minutes to decide. Hide the kid, claim ignorance, hope they didn't tear his ship apart, run, knowing his freighter couldn't outpace military vessels, or power down and pray they were reasonable. "There's a smuggling compartment behind the coolant tanks," he said. "It'll block most scans. Get in there and don't make a sound. They'll find me." No fear in her voice. Just certainty. "Not if I'm convincing." She looked at him with those oil-dark eyes. Something shifted in her expression. Evaluation, maybe? Decision? "You don't know what you're protecting," she said. "Don't care. You're a kid. I'm not handing you over to people who scare you." Her posture changed. 1 hand moved to her chest in a gesture his translator couldn't parse. Then she ran for the compartment. Marcus sealed it behind her and started deleting nav logs. The destroyer was close enough now that he could see the weapon ports tracking him. His comm crackled. "Civilian vessel. Power down your engines and prepare for boarding inspection." Controlled. Absolutely certain of compliance. Marcus took a breath and opened the channel. This is Independent Hauler Meridian's Ghost, Registry 557 Charlie. I've got nothing but mining equipment and a schedule to keep. Your cooperation is not optional. 3 forms materialized on his short-range scanner. Boarding pods, already launched. They'd be maglocked to his hull in 30 seconds. Marcus looked at the hidden compartment, thought about the kid's hands, trained to stillness, the precision of her fear. He powered down the engines and waited for whatever came next. The boarding team moved through his ship like water. 6 Vathani in combat armor, weapons drawn but lowered, eyes tracking every corner. Their leader stopped in the cargo bay, studying the emergency pod with an expression Marcus couldn't read. "You picked up debris," she said. It wasn't a question. "Answered a distress call," Marcus replied. "Got here too late. Pod was empty." Empty. The leader's second pair of arms moved slightly. His translator tagged it as skepticism. "And the biological traces throughout your cargo bay?" Marcus kept his breathing steady. "I checked for survivors. Found nothing. Maybe something died in the pod before I got here. Ran a scanner along the walls. Stopped at the coolant tanks, her head tilted exactly the way the kids had. Standard civilian freighter," she said, still studying the tanks. "Registered out of Terra Station. Clean operational record. Mining equipment hauler for 8 years. That's right. And yet you stop for distress beacons in pirate-heavy space." She turned to face him. "That's either very brave or very foolish. Maybe both. Or very profitable. There are markets for certain types of cargo in these sectors." Marcus felt sweat gathering at his collar. "I'm just a hauler. If you want to search the ship, search it. I've got nothing to hide." She studied him for what felt like an hour, then nodded to her team. Full sweep, deck by deck, they moved with terrifying efficiency. Marcus watched them dismantle his cargo, scan every bulkhead, probe every access panel. The leader stayed in the bay, her scanner running continuous sweeps. She stopped at the coolant tank compartment 3 times. Each time, the scanner showed nothing. Marcus realized the kid hadn't just hidden. She'd done something to mask her signature completely. That took tech. Expensive tech. Military grade. Who was she? The team regrouped after 20 minutes. "Nothing," the second-in-command reported. "Ship's clean." She walked to the emergency pod again, ran her hand along the interior. When she pulled back, her fingers were stained with something that looked like blood, but silver. "You said the pod was empty," she said quietly. Marcus's heart hammered. "It was when I got here. This blood is fresh, less than an hour old." She held up her hand. "It's also royal blood." The silence that followed felt like pressure change before explosive decompression. "I don't know what that means," Marcus said. "Yes, you do." The leader moved closer. "You know exactly what you're protecting. The question is why." "I found an empty pod. That's all." "Then you won't mind if we take this ship into custody for detailed analysis." Marcus felt the trap close. If they impounded the Meridian, they'd find the kid eventually. If he resisted, they'd know he was hiding something. "On what grounds?" he asked. "Obstruction of royal recovery operations, possible kidnapping, possible treason against the Vathani Empire." The word landed like a hammer. "I'm human," Marcus said. "Your laws don't apply to me. They do when you interfere with royal succession." The leader's weapon came up slightly, not aimed at him. "Not yet. Last chance. Where is the child?" Marcus looked at the team. 6 armed soldiers. A destroyer outside with enough firepower to erase him. The smart move was obvious. He thought about the kid's voice. "They'll kill me. I told you," he said. "Pod was empty."
She nodded to her team. "Impound this vessel."
"Full forensic sweep. If you find her, bring her alive." "If he resists," the explosion cut her off. "Not on the Meridian."
Outside.
The destroyer's proximity alarms screamed. Marcus's viewport lit up with weapons fire, massive, coordinated, coming from deeper in the asteroid field. The boarding team's commander touched her ear, listening to rapid communications. Her expression went from controlled to shocked to furious in 3 seconds. "Pull back," she ordered. "All teams, return to ships immediately." "What's happening?" Marcus asked. She ignored him. The team moved toward their boarding pods with disciplined speed. No panic, but urgency that bordered on fear. The leader stopped at the airlock, looked back at Marcus with something that might have been respect or might have been warning. "If you're hiding her," she said, "you just became the most wanted man in 4 sectors. If you're not, Get out of this system before the shooting starts. Then she was gone. Marcus ran to the cockpit. His sensors showed chaos. The 3 Vathani military ships were breaking formation, taking heavy fire from at least a dozen vessels that had appeared from nowhere. Some Vathani, some species he didn't recognize. The asteroid field was lighting up with energy weapons and missile trails. A civil war, playing out right where his ship floated. He fired the engines and dove into the thickest part of the asteroid field as the space behind him turned into a battlefield. Weapons fire streaked past his hull. Something massive exploded, sending shockwaves that rattled his teeth. He flew on instinct, weaving through rocks the size of moons, pushing his ship past safe tolerances. Behind him, the battle expanded. Ahead, the field thinned toward open space. When he finally cleared the asteroids, his hands were shaking. He opened the smuggling compartment. The kid sat exactly where he'd left her, 4 hands folded in perfect stillness. But her eyes had changed. Less fear, more resignation. "They found me," she said. "They found something. I don't think it was you." Marcus dropped into the co-pilot's seat. "Want to tell me what's really going on?" She was quiet for a long moment. Then, "My mother is dying. When she does, the Empire splits. Half follow my older sister, half follow me. You're royalty. Yes." "How old are you?" 6 cycles. "About 8 of your years." Marcus laughed, but there was no humor in it. "You're 8 years old and people are starting a war over you?" "I didn't ask for this." For the first time, she sounded like a child. "I just wanted to see the outer stations. My guards said it was safe. Then the shooting started and they put me in the pod and..." Her voice cracked. "They're all dead." Marcus looked at this kid, this princess, sitting in his cargo hold covered in dust and fear. "What's your name?" "Kethrin Vasmoria, 3rd of the royal blood. Heir to the Vathani throne if my sister dies or is killed." "Are they trying to kill you or save you?" "Both. Different groups." She met his eyes. "My sister's faction wants me dead. My mother's loyalists want me alive. Others want me as a hostage. And my mother..." She paused. "My mother can't protect me anymore. She's dying, everyone knows. So that battle back there? By tomorrow, every Vathani military ship will have to choose a side." She stood, and despite everything, her posture was regal. "You should take me to the nearest neutral station and leave me there. This isn't your war." The way she'd said royal blood like it meant something absolute. The way the battle had erupted the moment they tried to search his ship. "Where were you trying to go?" he asked. "In the pod." Before it failed, Kethrin's 4 hands moved in a complex gesture. Somewhere safe. Somewhere they wouldn't look." "That place exists?" "I thought it did. My mother told me about sanctuaries. Neutral zones. Places where even empires have to respect refuge laws." She looked small suddenly. Young. I think she was lying to make me feel better. Marcus ran calculations. Fuel? Supplies. The fact that every Vathani faction would be hunting his ship signature now. The smart move was to dump her at the nearest station and run. He looked at her eyes. Saw his daughter's eyes 10 years ago before the colony accident. Before the choices that had brought him out here to the frontier, hauling mining equipment and trying not to think too hard. "I know a place," he said. "Might be safe. Might get us both killed." "Why would you help me? 'Cause you're 8, and you're scared, and I'm already in this mess whether I like it or not. And because leaving kids to die isn't something I do?" Kethrin studied him with those ancient eyes. Then her hands moved in another gesture. His translator tagged it as deep gratitude, formal acknowledgement. "Thank you, Marcus Chen." "Don't thank me yet," he said, setting course for the edge of the sector. "We've got about 30 hours before word spreads, and every bounty hunter in the frontier comes looking. After that, things get complicated." She almost smiled. "More complicated than now? Much more?" He engaged the FTL drive and the Meridian's ghost jumped into the void, carrying the most dangerous cargo he'd ever hauled and no idea if Sanctuary actually existed. Behind them, in the asteroid field, the Vathani Empire began tearing itself apart. The station appeared like a miracle after 40 hours of running dark. Marcus had pushed the Meridian through 3 jump points, burned fuel reserves he couldn't afford to replace, and avoided 7 different patrol groups by flying routes that most pilots considered suicidal. Refuge Station hung in the gravity well between 2 dead stars, radiation-scarred and ancient. Neutral ground maintained by the Accord, a coalition of minor species who'd gotten tired of being crushed between empire wars. The rules were simple: no weapons, no violence, absolute sanctuary. Breaking those rules meant permanent exile or execution. The Accord didn't negotiate. Marcus brought the Meridian into dock on emergency reserves, the engines coughing and dying as they maglocked. Catherine had stayed in the cockpit the whole journey, watching the sensor displays like she was memorizing every ship signature, every patrol pattern. "Is it really safe here?" she asked as they waited for dock clearance. "Safe as anywhere gets." Marcus checked his credentials. The Accord takes sanctuary seriously. Even empires respect it, mostly. Nothing's guaranteed, but it's better than running forever. Civilian vessel Meridian's Ghost, you're cleared for humanitarian dock. Fuel and supplies on credit. Standard sanctuary protocols apply. Then, quieter to Catherine, "Let me do the talking. We're refugees fleeing combat zones." Nothing more. Her hands had shifted into neutral positions, a diplomat's stance. Even scared and exhausted, she carried herself like royalty. The station interior was a maze of corridors carved from asteroid rock reinforced with alloy. Species mixed freely here: humans, Vethani, Solthari, Kreeth, dozens more. Everyone running from something. Everyone pretending they weren't. Marcus led Catherine to the refugee processing center. A tired-looking Solthari administrator took their information without interest, assigned them temporary quarters, handed them meal chits. "Medical check tomorrow," the administrator said. "Educational placement if you're staying long-term." "Questions?" "How long can we stay?" Marcus asked. "Long as you follow the rules. Sanctuary is permanent if you need it." The Solthari glanced at Catherine with her 4 arms and royal bearing. "Lots of Vethani refugees coming through lately. Civil war's getting bad." "We noticed. Their quarters were small. 2 bunks, a basic hygiene station, a view of the dead stars through reinforced transparasteel." Catherine sat on one bunk and finally let herself slump. The regal posture cracked. She looked 8 years old again. "What happens now?" she asked. "We rest. We blend in. We figure out our next move." "There is no next move. If my sister's forces find me, they'll kill me. If my mother's loyalists find me, they'll use me to challenge her and the war gets worse. If the third faction finds me..." She stopped. "I'm a weapon no matter who has me." Marcus sat across from her. "Then we don't let anyone have you." "I'm already here illegally. My mother declared me lost. My sister declared me dead. The law says I don't exist anymore." Catherine's voice was flat. "That makes me no one's responsibility. It makes you free. I'm 8. I can't be free." About the weight in her voice, the training that kept her spine straight even when she wanted to collapse. "Who taught you to move like that?" "The formal gestures? Royal tutors. From age 3. Every position means something. Every gesture has protocol." She demonstrated, 4 hands moving in patterns that spoke volumes to anyone trained to read them. "I can negotiate treaties with my hands while my voice says nothing. I can declare war with a finger position. I can order executions with how I tilt my head." Heavy stuff for an 8-year-old. Royal blood is heavy. She looked at her hands like they belonged to someone else. "My sister learned faster. She's better at the politics, the alliances. Mother chose her as primary heir. I was supposed to be the spare, the backup, the one who supports from behind. But now the Empire's splitting, 'cause they think I'll be easier to control. Younger, more malleable." Her eyes hardened. "They're wrong. But by the time they realize it, millions will be dead." Marcus heard footsteps outside, lots of them, moving with purpose. He moved to the door. Through the small window he saw Vethani in civilian clothes, 10, maybe 15, spread through the corridor in positions that looked casual but weren't, watching. "Waiting, Catherine," he said quietly. "Don't react." "But I think we have a problem." She joined him at the window. Her expression didn't change, but her hands moved into a position his translator tagged as extreme danger recognition.
My mother's agents," she said.
"I recognize the leader, Captain Vayesh. She commanded my mother's personal guard. They're here for you. But they can't do anything on the station. Sanctuary rules. So what are they waiting for?" The answer came 5 minutes later. A knock at the door. Polite. Patient. Marcus opened it. A Vethani woman stood there. Older, scarred across one shoulder, 3 of her 4 arms positioned in formal greeting. "Captain Vayesh." Marcus Jen, she said. May I speak with you, alone? Catherine started to protest, but Marcus held up a hand. I'll be right outside. You can see me through the window. He stepped into the corridor. Vayesh moved them just far enough away that Catherine couldn't hear. You've caused considerable trouble, Vayesh said, not angry, just stating fact. Wasn't trying to. The Empress's youngest daughter, hidden on a neutral station, protected by a human freighter captain with no stakes in our war. She studied him. Why? Because she's a kid. She's the heir to the Vaethani Empire. She's never been just a kid. That made her a kid to me. Vayesh's expression shifted, something like respect. The Empress is dying. Days left, at most. When she dies, civil war becomes total war. Billions will die. Not my problem. You made it your problem when you hid Catherine from the boarding team. Vayesh moved closer. She's the key to everything. With her, the Empress's faction can maintain legitimacy. Without her, we fracture into chaos. Sounds like you need her alive. We do. Others don't. Vayesh glanced at the station around them. This sanctuary won't last. Too many factions want her. Eventually, someone will break the rules. When they do, the Accord will seal the station and investigate. That gives the other factions time to move. So what do you want? We'll take her somewhere truly safe. Somewhere the war can't touch her. Where's that? The Royal Bunker Complex on Vaetha Prime. Defended by the Empire's best. She'd be untouchable there. Marcus looked at Catherine through the window. She was watching them, hands positioned in patterns he couldn't read. And then what? Marcus asked. She sits in a bunker while everyone fights over her? She survives, Vayesh said simply. That's all that matters. The Empire can rebuild around her later, when she's old enough to rule properly. Locked in a cage for 10 years? Safe in a sanctuary for 10 years. Vayesh's voice softened. You don't understand what's at stake. The Empress built peace across 40 systems. Her daughters will burn it all. Catherine is the only one who might. She stopped. She has her mother's temperament, her compassion. If we can keep her alive, the Empire has a chance. Does she want that? She wants to be a child, but she's royalty. She doesn't get to choose. Marcus felt anger rising. Everyone gets to choose. Not when billions of lives depend on you. Vayesh straightened. I'm not asking you to understand our ways. I'm asking you to do what's best for her survival. Give her to us. Marcus looked at the captain. Saw sincerity there. Also calculation, the kind that came with impossible choices and years of service. Let me talk to her, he said. You have 2 hours. After that, other factions will arrive. The sanctuary will break. And everyone in this section dies when the shooting starts. Vayesh walked away, her team melting back into the station crowds. Marcus returned to their quarters. Catherine stood by the window, hands still positioned in formal patterns. She wants to take me to the bunkers, Catherine said. It wasn't a question. Yes. It's a good plan. I'd be safe there. For 10 years. Yes. Catherine turned to face him. You should let her. This isn't your fight. You've done more than anyone could ask. Marcus sat down, thought about his daughter, about the choices he'd made that had led to her death, about the weight of protection when you couldn't actually protect anything. What do you want? He asked. Catherine's hands moved through a dozen positions before settling. I want my mother alive. I want the Empire whole. I want my guards back, and my tutors back, and everything to be the way it was before. Her voice cracked. I want to not matter this much. Can't give you most of that, but maybe I can help with the last part. How? Started searching through sanctuary law, refugee protocols, citizenship rules. There had to be something, some loophole, some way to... He found it. Buried in Accord regulations, a clause about unaccompanied minors.
About legal guardianship.
About voluntary abdication of status in exchange for sanctuary. If you formally renounce your claim to the throne, Marcus said slowly, and accept refugee status under Accord protection, you stop being a political asset. You become just another kid. Catherine stared at him. That's not possible. Royal blood can't be renounced. It's genetic. Absolute. But we're on Accord territory. Their law supersedes. If you declare yourself a refugee seeking permanent sanctuary, and if I claim legal guardianship as the adult who rescued you... He kept reading. The Accord would have to process you as a civilian child. No political status. No empire claims. My mother would never accept it. Your mother's dying, and she's not here. You are. Catherine's hands moved in patterns Marcus was starting to recognize. Consideration, weighing options, calculating outcomes. 8 years old and thinking like a general. If I do this, she said, the war doesn't stop. My sister still takes the throne. The loyalists still fragment. People still die. Yes. But I don't have to be the reason anymore. No. I become no one. You become Catherine. Just Catherine. A kid who survived and got a second chance. At the positions she'd been trained to hold since age 3. At the weight of empire in her genetics. My mother will never forgive me, she whispered. She's your mother. Maybe she already has. Then her hands moved into a new position, one Marcus's translator didn't recognize. When she spoke, her voice was clear. I, Catherine Vass Moria, third of the royal blood, formally renounce all claims to the Vaethani throne. I claim refugee status under Accord law. I request sanctuary and protection as a civilian minor. Marcus started filing the legal documents immediately, before anyone could stop them. The Accord system processed it with bureaucratic efficiency. No judgment, no politics. Just law. 5 minutes later, Catherine's status changed in every database. No longer heir. No longer royal. Just refugee. The knock came 30 seconds after that, Vaesh returning early. Marcus opened the door. The captain looked at her data pad, at the updated status, at Catherine standing behind Marcus with her hands in neutral positions. What have you done? Vaesh's voice was ice. Saved her, Marcus said. You've destroyed everything. The Empress needed her. The Empire needed her. Now we have nothing. Eventually. Without fighting over a child. Vaesh's weapon's hand twitched. For a moment, Marcus thought she'd break sanctuary rules right there. But discipline held. The Empress will know, Vaesh said quietly. She always knows. Then the captain turned and walked away, her team following. Marcus watched them disappear into the station crowds. He closed the door, looked at Catherine. No longer a princess, just a kid in refugee clothes with old eyes and tired hands. What happens now? She asked. Now we figure out what normal looks like, Marcus said. School, maybe? Friends, actual childhood things. I don't know how to be normal. Neither do I. We'll figure it out together. Catherine's hands moved in patterns, then stopped. She looked at them like she was seeing them for the first time without the weight of empire. Then she did something Marcus hadn't seen her do once in all their time together. She smiled. It was small, uncertain, but real. Thank you, she said. Not in formal positions, just words. Marcus felt something unclench in his chest. You're welcome. Through the window, the dead stars burned cold and distant. Somewhere out there, an empire was tearing itself apart. Somewhere, an empress was dying. But here, on Refuge Station, a child who'd been carrying the weight of billions finally set it down. And Marcus Chen, freighter captain and reluctant guardian, started figuring out how to give her something she'd never had. A chance to just be Catherine. 3 days later, the message came. Marcus was helping Catherine set up their permanent quarters. Larger space, actual furniture, educational materials the Accord provided for refugee children when his comm chimed. Private encryption, Royal Vaethani signature. He almost didn't answer. Then he saw the origination code. Empress's personal channel. He accepted. The hologram that appeared was a Vaethani woman who looked like an older, exhausted version of Catherine, forearms positioned in formal address despite obvious pain. Eyes that had seen too much and carried it anyway. Marcus Chen, Empress Siveth said. Her voice was weak but clear. We need to speak. Marcus glanced at Catherine. She'd frozen, staring at her mother's image with an expression that broke his heart. Your Majesty? Marcus said, unsure of protocol. No titles. Not here. Not now. Siveth's eyes found Catherine. Hello, my daughter. Mother. Catherine's hands moved automatically into royal greeting, then stopped halfway. She didn't have to do that anymore. Captain Vaesh informed me of your decision, Siveth said. To renounce your heritage, to become a refugee. I'm sorry, Catherine whispered. Don't be. The Empress's expression softened. You made the choice I couldn't make for you. The choice I hoped you'd make.
You wanted this? I wanted you alive.
I wanted you free of this war. Sivith's hands moved in patterns Marcus's translator caught as deep, maternal love. When the pod launched, I knew it might be the last time I saw you. I told your guards to take you somewhere safe, somewhere beyond the Empire's reach. But the war will happen regardless. Your sister and I have different visions for the Empire. That conflict was inevitable. Sivith coughed, pain flashing across her face. But you were never meant to be part of it. You were meant to survive, to grow, to become who you choose to be. Everyone said I was the key to everything. You're not a key. You're my daughter. And I'll be damned if I let Empire politics destroy another child I love. Catherine's hands trembled. I failed you, Sivith said quietly. I let the Empire consume your childhood. I trained you for a role you never wanted. I made you carry weight you shouldn't have to bear. She looked at Marcus, and then this stranger did what I couldn't. It gave you a choice. I just did what seemed right, Marcus said. You saved the most important thing in my life. That's not just anything. Siveth's image flickered, signal degrading or her strength failing. I'm dying, Marcus Chen. Days left, perhaps hours. My last command as Empress is this: protect my daughter. Not the heir, not the princess. The child. Catherine. I will. And Catherine, the Empress, looked at her daughter with an expression that transcended species. Live. Be happy. Make mistakes. Have friends. Fall in love someday. Be everything the Empire wouldn't let you be. Tears ran down Catherine's face. I love you. I love you too, little one. More than empires. More than thrones. Sivith's hands moved in a final gesture. Release, blessing, goodbye. The Accord will protect you. Marcus will guide you. And I will watch from whatever comes after, proud of the woman you'll become. The signal cut. Catherine stood frozen for a long moment. Then she moved to the window and looked out at the stars. Her hands hung loose at her sides. No positions, no protocol, just a child processing grief. Marcus gave her space. Let her cry quietly, let her feel it. After a while, she spoke without turning. She planned this. She knew I'd renounce my status. She wanted me to. Seems like it. She sacrificed the Empire to save me. She sacrificed a weapon to save her daughter. That's different. Her eyes were red but steady. What if the war gets worse without me? What if people die because I'm not there to unify the factions? They might. War's complicated. But you know what your mother taught you? What? That you matter more than empire? That's a hell of a lesson from an empress. You think she was right? I think she loved you enough to let you go. That's as right as anything gets. The comm chimed again. Station administration, Marcus answered. Mr. Chen, we're confirming your guardianship petition for refugee minor Catherine. Processing complete. Legal authority transferred. Educational placement begins tomorrow. Understood, Marcus said. He looked at Catherine, his ward now, legally and formally. A kid who'd been carrying the weight of empires and had finally set it down. School tomorrow, he said. You ready for that?
Only royal tutoring.
Then you'll learn, like everyone else. What if I'm bad at it? Then you'll be bad at it. That's allowed now. She considered this. What if the other kids don't like me? Some will, some won't. Also allowed. You're 8. That's the job. Catherine moved her hands unconsciously into worried positions, then stopped. Looked at them. Let them hang naturally.
This is going to be strange, she said.
Very strange, Marcus agreed. But maybe good strange. They stood together, looking out at the dead stars and the station lights and the future that had suddenly opened up. Somewhere out there, an empire was changing. An empress was dying. Systems were choosing sides. But here, 2 refugees were figuring out what normal meant. And for the first time in her short life, Catherine Voss Moria, no longer royal, no longer heir, just Catherine, felt something she'd never experienced before. Hope. 4 weeks later, Marcus realized the sanctuary was compromised. It started small. New arrivals at the station, Vaithani civilians who spent too much time near the refugee quarters, supply shipments that lingered in dock longer than necessary, surveillance that tried to look casual and failed. He dealt with intelligence operations before. He recognized the patterns. They're watching us, he told Catherine one evening as they reviewed her schoolwork. She'd struggled with basic mathematics. Royal tutors had focused on strategy and politics, not arithmetic, but excelled at languages and social dynamics. Multiple groups. Trying to stay hidden. Catherine looked up from her equations. My sister's agents? Maybe. Or loyalists who don't accept your renunciation. Or third-party actors who think you're still valuable. But I'm not valuable anymore. I'm not royal. Doodles. You're the Empress's daughter. That means something to people who don't respect Accord law.
What do we do?
We stay alert. We follow sanctuary rules. We don't give them excuses. But Marcus knew it wouldn't be enough. Sanctuary only worked when everyone respected it, and desperation made people break rules. The breaking point came 2 weeks later. Marcus was at the station market buying supplies when he noticed the crowd shift. People moving with purpose, trying to look casual, Vaethani in civilian clothes, positioning themselves at exits. Humans he didn't recognize, hands near weapons they weren't supposed to have. He ran for the refugee quarters. The corridor was chaos. Catherine's school group scattered as armed Vaethani burst from maintenance access. Not Vaesh's team. Different faction, different insignia. One of them grabbed Catherine with 2 arms while aiming a weapon with the other 2. Catherine Vas Moria, the leader said. You're coming with us. She's a refugee under Accord protection, Marcus shouted, pushing through the crowd. You're breaking sanctuary law. She's a princess pretending to be a refugee. The Empress is dead. The law changes. The word hit like a physical blow. Siveth was gone. Catherine struggled in her captor's grip. Let me go! The leader's weapon moved to her head. Come quietly or people die. Your choice. Marcus's mind raced. Accord security would respond in minutes, but minutes were too long. If they got Catherine off the station, she disappeared into the war. Became a hostage. A puppet.
A weapon again.
He had to stop them here. Marcus moved before he could think it through. Grabbed the nearest object, a vendor's display stand, and hurled it at the leader. It wasn't much. Wasn't enough. But it created chaos. The crowd scattered. The leader's weapon shifted. The Vaethani holding Catherine loosened his grip for just a second. She moved with precision that shocked everyone. 4 hands striking pressure points her royal combat tutors had taught her. Her captor's arms went numb. She dropped and rolled. Marcus caught her and they ran. Behind them, the abduction team gave chase. Ahead, Accord security finally arrived. Armored, armed, absolutely furious. Sanctuary violation, the security commander announced. All combatants stand down. They opened fire. The security commander didn't hesitate, returned fire. The corridor became a war zone. Marcus pulled Catherine into a side passage. They ran through maintenance corridors, service tunnels, areas civilians weren't supposed to access. Behind them, the firefight expanded. Ahead, more teams were converging. This way, Catherine said, pointing. There's a secondary dock. My tutors made me memorize all emergency routes. They ran. The tunnel opened onto a maintenance dock where small craft sat waiting for repair. Marcus recognized one. A courier ship, fast and light. Can you fly? Catherine asked. Not well. Marcus hotwired the ship systems while Catherine monitored the tunnel. Shouts echoed closer. The security alerts were going station-wide now. Total lockdown coming. The ship's engines coughed to life. Marcus didn't wait for clearance. He fired the thrusters and blasted out of the dock as the tunnel behind them filled with armed pursuers. The Meridian sat in main dock, impounded by Accord security during the investigation. Marcus couldn't get to it, so they flew a stolen courier ship with quarter fuel and no supplies into open space. Where are we going? Catherine asked. Marcus checked the nav computer. They had range for maybe 2 jumps. After that, they'd be stranded. Away, he said. Anywhere away. Behind them, Refuge Station lit up with weapons fire as multiple factions realized their target had escaped. The sanctuary was broken. The Accord would investigate, punish violators, rebuild, but that wouldn't help Marcus and Catherine now. They jumped into FTL on fumes and prayers. When they dropped back to normal space 3 hours later, they were in an unmapped system, red dwarf star. No planets worth settling, no traffic, no hope, and no fuel to jump again. We're dead in space, Marcus said, checking the readouts. Life support for maybe 48 hours. After that, I'm sorry, this is my fault. This is Empire Politics' fault. You're just a kid caught in it. I was supposed to be safe, Mother promised. She tried. Sometimes promises aren't enough. They sat in silence, watching the red dwarf burn. Marcus thought about sending a distress call, but Who would answer? Anyone monitoring this region was either hunting Catherine or running from the war. Help seemed unlikely. "Tell me about your daughter," Catherine said quietly. Marcus looked at her. "What?" "Tell me about her."
He hadn't mentioned that, but Catherine was perceptive.
Must have picked it up from something he'd said or done. "Her name was Sarah," Marcus said after a long pause. "She was 6 when she died. Colony accident. I was off-world working. Didn't even get to say goodbye." "Is that why you saved me, because of her?" "Partly." Marcus looked at his hands. "I couldn't save Sarah. Couldn't protect her, couldn't even be there. When I found you in that pod, scared and alone, I don't know. Maybe I thought I could fix one thing I'd broken. You haven't broken anything. I've broken plenty. Just ask my ex-wife. Or the people I've let down. Or..." He stopped. "But I gotta help you. That counts for something." Catherine was quiet for a moment. "Then, you're a good father." "I was a terrible father. That's why I'm out here." "You're a good father now." "To me." The words hit harder than they should have. Marcus felt something crack open in his chest. Grief he'd been carrying for 10 years. Guilt that had driven him to the frontier. Hope he'd thought was dead. "Thanks, kid," he managed. The proximity alarm cut through the moment. Ship signature.
Dropping out of FTL. Big.
Military configuration. Marcus pulled up the sensor data. Vathani heavy cruiser. Same class as the ships that had chased them from the asteroid field weeks ago. "They found us," Catherine whispered. "They found us." The cruiser moved into weapons range. Marcus's comm crackled. "Civilian vessel. Power down and prepare for boarding. Captain Vayesh." Marcus looked at Catherine. "Your mother's guard. She'll take me back, put me in the bunkers. Maybe. Or maybe she's with your sister now. Empress is dead. Loyalties shift." The cruiser's weapons locked on. "No more time." Marcus opened the channel. "Captain Vayesh? We're on emergency power. No threats here. I've been tracking you since you left Refuge Station." Vayesh's voice was tired. "The sanctuary's broken. The war's spreading. And the Empress's last command still stands. Protect Catherine." "You want to put her in a bunker?" "I want to keep her alive. The bunkers are gone. Destroyed 2 days ago by insurgent forces. The royal family holdings are compromised. I have nowhere safe to take her." Marcus felt ice in his veins. "Then why are you here?" Silence. Then, "Because the Empress made me promise. Whatever happened, wherever Catherine went, I'd make sure she survived. Even if she's not royal anymore. Especially then. She's free of the succession. Free of the politics. She can actually live."
Vayesh paused. The Empress was wise.
"She knew the Empire would destroy Catherine. She set you up to save her daughter in a way no Vathani ever could. So what now? Now I give you the resources to disappear properly. Fuel, supplies, credentials that will get you past any checkpoint. And you take Catherine somewhere the war can't reach." "Where's that?" "Anywhere that's not Vathani space. Human colonies, Salthari territories, Kreeth regions. Somewhere she can be just a kid." Marcus looked at Catherine. She was watching the cruiser with ancient eyes, processing calculations he couldn't follow. "Do you trust her?" Marcus asked. Catherine's hands moved in patterns. "Captain Vayesh served my mother for 40 years. She doesn't break oaths." "That's a yes?" "That's a yes?" Marcus opened the channel again. "All right, Captain. We accept your help." Wise choice. "Docking bay's open. Come aboard." They maneuvered the courier ship into the cruiser's bay. Vayesh met them personally, 3 of her forearms carrying supplies, the 4th positioned in formal greeting. "Catherine," she said, "you look well?" "Captain." Catherine's posture straightened automatically, then relaxed. "Thank you for finding us. Thank the Empress. She predicted you'd end up in trouble and made me swear to monitor your movements." Vayesh handed Marcus a data chip. "New credentials, human colony registrations, educational records, financial accounts, everything you need to vanish." Marcus looked at the chip. "Why are you really doing this?" "Because I loved Empress Sivith, and she loved her daughter more than her empire." Vayesh looked at Catherine. "The war's going to get worse. Your sister's consolidating power. The Loyalists are fragmenting. Refugee crises, trade wars, actual wars. It'll burn for years. And Catherine is free of it, if she stays disappeared." Vayesh knelt to Catherine's level. "Your mother's last words to me were, Let her be happy. So that's what I'm doing. Letting you go. Letting you be happy. I miss her. They stood in the docking bay, 3 people carrying the weight of an empire's ending. Then Vayesh straightened. You have 4 hours before I have to report this sector clear. Use them well. She transferred fuel, supplies, upgraded their courier ship's drives. When they were ready to leave, she stopped them one last time. Marcus Chen. You're a better guardian than the Empire ever was. Don't let her forget who she is, but don't let her be crushed by who she was. I'll do my best. And Catherine. Vayesh's hands moved in a final blessing. Your mother would be proud. I'm proud. Now go be extraordinary in ways that don't involve thrones. They departed the cruiser on full fuel with enough supplies to reach human space. Behind them, Vayesh's ship jumped away, returning to the war that was consuming her people. Marcus set course for the human colonies, far from Vethani space, far from the war, far from everything that had tried to kill or use or define Catherine. What will we do there? Catherine asked. Whatever we want. School for you, work for me. Normal life things. I don't know how to be normal. We've established this, but we've got time to figure it out. Catherine looked at the stars streaming past. Do you think Mother knew that all of this would happen? I think she hoped. And she gave you the tools to survive it. Jesse Webb. Marcus felt that crack in his chest open wider. Yeah, she did. They flew toward human space in a stolen courier ship with forged credentials and hope that felt dangerous. Behind them, an empire burned. Ahead, the possibility of something like peace. And between them, in the quiet of the cockpit, Marcus and Catherine started building what they'd both lost. Family. 2 years later, Marcus stood at the parent-teacher conference feeling wildly out of place. The human colony of New Providence was everything Vethani space wasn't. Chaotic, informal, loud. The school was a converted warehouse where kids from a dozen species learned together in organized chaos. Catherine's teacher, a patient Solthari named Rix, spread out her work samples. She's exceptional. Top marks in languages, political theory, strategic thinking. Also, Rix smiled. She's made actual friends. That was the hard part. Marcus had seen it happen slowly. Catherine learning to relax her formal posture. Learning to laugh without calculating political ramifications. Learning to be wrong and have it be okay. She still moved with unconscious grace, still positioned her hands in patterns when stressed. But the weight had lifted. She was lighter now. More herself. Any concerns? Marcus asked. She has nightmares sometimes. Refuses to talk about them. Rix's expression was gentle. War trauma, probably. Common in refugee kids. We have counselors if she needs them. Marcus thought about the war. Still raging, according to news reports. Catherine's sister had consolidated power. The loyalist factions had fragmented. Millions dead. Systems burning. And Catherine here, safe, learning algebra and making friends. I'll talk to her, Marcus said. He found her in the common area, forearms moving in animated conversation with 3 human kids in a creeth. They were arguing about some game Marcus didn't understand, and Catherine was laughing. Actually laughing. She saw him and waved. Dad, can I go to Mira's house for dinner? She'd started calling him that 6 months ago. It still hit him every time. Sure, be back by curfew. I will. She ran off with her friends, all informal energy and casual joy. Marcus watched her go, this kid who'd been carrying empire weight, now just being 10 years old. His comm buzzed. Private channel. He almost ignored it, then saw the encryption signature, Vethani. Royal. He stepped outside and answered. Captain Vayesh appeared, looking older and more tired than 2 years ago. Marcus Chen, she said. Status. Report. Happy. Safe. And the war hasn't found you? No one's looking for a dead princess in human colonies. Good. Vayesh glanced off screen. The Empress's will was executed today. Final provisions. She left something for Catherine. What? Vayesh transmitted a file. When she's 16, if she wants, she can return, claim a seat on the council. Not as heir. Her sister holds the throne, but as representative of the outer territories. Diplomatic position. Political voice. Marcus felt his stomach drop. You're giving her a way back in. We're giving her a choice, the Empress insisted. Vayesh's expression was unreadable. She also insisted we not contact Catherine until she's old enough to decide for herself. You're the guardian. You decide when to tell her. And if I never tell her? Lives her life here, dies never knowing her mother left her a bridge back. Vayesh paused. But that wouldn't be fair to her, would it? Marcus thought about Catherine, laughing with her friends. About the nightmare she still had. About the weight she'd carried and the freedom she'd found. When she's 16, he said, I'll tell her then. Good. Vayesh nodded. The war continues. Your sister's reign is complicated. Many wish for the Empress's wisdom. Some wish for Catherine's return. She's not coming back. She might. When she's 16. When she can choose. Vayesh smiled slightly. The Empress knew her daughter. Knew she'd want to help eventually. But only when she was ready. Only when it was her choice. The call ended. Marcus looked at the file. Read the Empress's message. Words meant for Catherine years from now. Words about duty and choice. About empire and freedom. About loving your child enough to let them find their own path. He encrypted it and locked it away. 6 years from now, he'd share it. Until then, Catherine could just be a kid. She came running back an hour later, breathless and excited. Dad, Mira's family's going to the beach tomorrow. Can I go? Please? Marcus looked at this child who'd been carrying empires. Who'd renounced everything to be free. Who was learning to be just Catherine. Yeah, he said. You can go. She hugged him, all forearms wrapped tight, and ran off to tell her friends. Marcus watched her go and thought about the message waiting. About the choice she'd face someday. About the bridge between freedom and duty that her mother had built. But that was 6 years away. Today, Catherine was going to the beach with her friends. Today, she was just a kid. And that was exactly what she was supposed to be.